John Abbott, play-by-play voice of the Calgary Flames on television, on Sportsnet. You're entering your second season as the television voice of the Flames. You have one of only 32 jobs available in your profession. Have you ever stopped to consider the magnitude of that accomplishment?
Well, I do consider it all the time. I don't take a day for granted. Gary, both of us know how hard it is at times to make your way in the broadcast business, and because it's challenging, you also appreciate when you find some traction. And I've had a lot of people help me. I've had a wonderful path to Calgary, and I'm grateful. There isn't a day where you get to show up to a hockey rink, especially this one behind us, where I don't, take it all in and soak it all in and pretend it's day one, because it's an awesome gig, and being in Calgary makes it that much sweeter.
Yeah, and speaking of which, tell us very quickly how you got to Calgary. What's the story? I think people would be very interested in knowing.
Well, Cole's Notes.
Bob Cole's Notes.
Bob Cole's Notes, yeah. I wish I was in that echelon. Community television was a big part of my life, and it was more accessible when I was a teenager. And so I put my name in the hat and got thrown in the fire pretty early. 15 was my first experience in community television, and that just helped pave the way for me to have opportunities in the Ontario Hockey League. That's where I cut my teeth. London Knights, Toronto St. Michael's Majors, Ottawa 67s. That led eventually to the Marlies and the pro gig, which led to the Leafs, to the Canucks, to the Senators, and then here in Calgary. So I've collected a few tracksuits and jerseys along the way, but I'm happy to be in Alberta.
So one of the things I think people would be very interested to know is, how do you approach your craft? In terms of preparation, are there things you can share with anyone who's curious? Because like all great play-by-play guys, John, you make it look so easy, but you and I know it's not that easy.
Well, I still need a lot of help from guys like Kelly Rudy. So thankfully he's had all the experience, and being on hockey night doesn't hurt either. So I'm thankful for Kelly, but I'm a nerd that way, Gary. Like I love watching games. I love getting other play-by-play personalities, seeing what works for them. If I have the chance to speak to them, that's better. But even just watching a game, I can tell, little tricks or little things that guys have. And I used to be a big handwritten person.
Okay.
And I enjoyed it because there is some thought that, the penmanship is connected right to the memory bank. And I do believe there is some truth to that. But boy, it just took so much time to create and recreate.
So do you have your own system now?
I do have my own system, yeah.
Tell us about the system.
Well, Gord Miller from my TSN days was kind enough to share some of his behind-the-scenes prep templates, and I enjoyed how he had some things laid out. I tweaked them a little bit, as he would tell me every time he sees them, you bastardized it. But he's got his own way. I took some of what he used, and it's on a spreadsheet now, a legal size spreadsheet, and I can punch everything in through my laptop and then be able to quickly adapt, whether it's a note based on a milestone that's coming up, or a contract note that might have just been, player might have just been signed, and it's just so much more efficient and easy for me to do.
So you can go very systematically from the Utah Mammoth to the Nashville Predators to the Dallas Stars and know exactly what's going to happen because you're already prepped. Is that really what you're saying?
I'm saying yes, based on, and I'm always looking to adapt, but based on the current system, you have every team's template. You have rosters from, years back. So it's very easy to reach into my database, plug and play, switch, even trade deadline, right?
Right.
The next game following, you have to be pretty quick with who's come and who's gone for the rest of the season. And this just allows me to speed that up. So it's all It's all computerized now, which makes me sound old, but that really is the best way for me to try and stay on top of things.
So, with all due respect to Gord Miller, what you've done basically is you've ABBOTtized your system.
I have.
Yes.
He prefers, and Gord on the long list of broadcasters is so good at what he does, and he has so many great stories mentally logged. He really doesn't need much in front of him. And I guess that's one thing that people maybe wouldn't realize is you can't look down and see the play going on with how quick it is. There really isn't any reading. It's got to be logged. But there's little cheat notes from time to time, or things that you'll read before the game that's sitting in front of you that then you can put in your bank, and if it's appropriate to the game, you can usher out there.
Well, which begs the next question. Baseball play-by-play, football play-by-play, they have time to collect their thoughts. In hockey, you don't. I think a lot of people would love to know, how does your brain operate at warp speed keeping up with the play?
Well, we all have our missteps. You try not to make very many of them. I'm a guy that if I have my choice, if the odd one comes along, I like to be self-deprecating and just have fun with it. But for the most part, when the red light comes on, we're going out there to try and be perfect in our own craft, and that's what you work hard at before. So names is one thing, but I love the pregame warm-up. So I'll sit there, and we're fortunate on this side, on the Sportsnet side, that they allot us that time. The producers and the way we set things up on a game day, we'll go through all the television necessary prep previous to warm-up, and then we'll have the entire warm-up to be able to focus on the players. And so it might be stick tape. It might be the way the guy laces his skates. It might be, for the Flames, you learn body language. And so when there's a change on the fly, for example, and somebody comes into the screen late, you might not even have to look at the number. You might just be able to know based on body language who that is coming in. And so that way you keep going. And
whether they're a left-hand shot, right-hand shot.
You try to pinpoint those things, yeah.
All the little minutia is locked.
It helps.
It does.
To your point,
yeah.
To be able to just continue with the pace of play and hopefully not miss a beat.
Now, speaking of missing the beat, Van Halen once said, you miss the beat, you lose the rhythm.
Yeah.
And nothing falls into place. Let's talk about chemistry in the booth. Because and I know, there's no way you can do it all by yourself. I want you to think about great tandems in broadcasting. When I think of great tandems, I think automatically of Bob Cole and Harry Neal.
Yeah, they were terrific.
Okay. In football, Pat Summerall, John Madden.
Legendary. Yeah, I mean...
Who do you think of when you think of great... Ken Reed, Ivanka Osmak are pretty hard to beat on Sportsnet.
They are a great team, and I love catching them post-game. So often it will be Ken and Ivanka that we're speaking to right after a game, and I wish we got to interact with them more, actually, but man, they're a terrific duo. We're lucky to have them on Sportsnet, and it's always fun doing a post-game report of them. I agree, Bob Cole, Harry Neal, and there's been a few different partners in there. Near the end of his time for Mr. Cole, one of our good friends who just passed, the late Greg Millen, was really good with him as well. And you think of currently, Chris Cuthbert, Craig Simpson, they have such a strong rapport. And for me, Kelly Rudy's just been, like Greg, just the wealth of knowledge, the wealth of experience, having played in the game and then having all of that time in television at the highest level, Hockey Night in Canada, and just being such a terrific, energetic, and kind person that Kelly is. That I can't tell you how much that means, especially from day one when, okay, well, I just come in, I've never worked with him before, but let's make this fun and entertaining. And it was easy with Kelly, and thankful for him.
What's the secret, do you think, John, to creating that chemistry between broadcast partners? Because as the players pass the puck, I don't think a lot of people in television land are aware of how much the play-by-play guy and the analyst have to literally pass the puck.
Absolutely, and I wish everyone could see Kelly behind the scenes like I do in the booth beside me, because in his position, not only is he waiting, for a cue from me perhaps to jump in, and we don't really, it's not like, again, we can take much of our focus off the game. We have glances at each other from time to time, but it's pretty much just knowing when the other person is going to want to come in, and I'll give some space, Kelly will come in, and then I know when he's going to wrap up his thought, because we can't do this when the play's going on over there.
Right.
It's really reading.
Focused.
It's reading the other person, spending a lot of time with the other person, and it's almost like a marriage in the booth, really. I've heard that referred to a lot, and again, it's personalities. Like, one of the stories I heard from the late Bob Cole is that he was a really old school guy, which I appreciate, but pretty much anyone that worked with him knew you don't talk until the whistle sounds, and then it's your turn. I don't know if anybody can work it quite like Mr. Cole used to, and I also enjoy, I look to my left, that's where Kelly sits. Here's a guy, again, that played in the league, was really great in the league. I'm not going to limit what he sees. If he sees something, that's what his job is, but that's why he's so great, is he can pick it up like that and put it in. So I love the free flowing, I love the openness, and yet Kelly being Kelly, he doesn't want to come in more than he has to. And so we put that all together. We hopefully establish a rhythm, and we keep it entertaining, because at the end of the day, everybody also wants the game to do the talking. So I think, really, as much as we have stories to tell and Kelly has insight, if the game's a great game, that's really the best part.
Your final thoughts on what makes a great play-by-play broadcaster?
Wow. That's a terrific question. Cadence, so ebbs and flows, drawing people into a moment, even though it's television and you can anticipate, and we all have the luxury to see the play move up the ice. If you can build with it and have a sense of where it's going, and try to really bring people into a scoring opportunity and hit that. Sometimes it's getting out of your own way. I think that's a big part of it. Again, we all want to bring athletes into the living room of everyone else and tell some backstories, but sometimes less is more. And so it's a really big concept, but I think having the energy, and I think your previous point was a terrific one, is having that chemistry in the booth where people become comfortable, and hopefully they feel like we're a part of their everyday viewing of a Flames game. It's just so natural, you wouldn't think anything otherwise. That's really what I would consider the ultimate compliment, and that's what we hope we're doing.
There's been a long list of great sportscasters in Calgary associated with the Flames. Ed Whalen, Peter Marr, Rick Ball, your predecessor. Now it's John Abbott and Kelly Rudy into our living rooms. It's like you're part of the family.
That's what we hope.
Exactly. And John, the late great Bon Scott once said, I'll tell you folks, it's harder than it looks. It's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll and get one of the 32 TV play-by-play jobs in the NHL. John, congratulations on your success, and keep it up.
I appreciate it. Just getting started in Calgary, and hopefully there's a lot more to be entertained with and to entertain you by. Thanks for having me, Gary.
Oh, my pleasure. And never forget, as John Abbott has just so eloquently shared, it's been said, you can't create a legend without a story. And you, from the Scotiabank Saddledome, might be only one story away from creating your own legend.